Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tyler Babb. If you're new here, we are 4 days away from Superman, James Gunn's Superman. I am so excited. The microphone is making a shadow on my face. But if you're new here, we are very close to the release of James Gunn's Superman, and I am so excited. I cannot wait. We are going to be seeing it on the 8th, and the Amazon Prime early screening with a couple of my buddies, and we're going to do a out of the theater reaction to it, and then I will get my full review up probably on the 9th because the embargo will lift. So it's going to be great. But till then, the lead up is going to be a bunch of me looking at the press, the interviews, a couple scenes that they've released. All of those things we're going to take a look at today. This is an interview with Fandango, with the cast. So without further ado, let's give it a listen, shall we? Sit back and enjoy. 3, 2, 1, go.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
Miss Lane, love it. Gotta love it.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for what some might.
A lot of fire.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's been a lot.
I stopped a war.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman.
Rachel, I got to ask you right off the bat. I have not had a chance to interview Skylar yet today. That's later. Who's the better reporter in the newsroom? Is it you or is it Jimmy?
Lois or Jimmy or me and Skylar? Very important distinction.
Well, go Lois and Jimmy for the sake of the movie.
Not even a question, Lois. But in real life, I could listen to Skylar report on the Daily Planet set all day long.
It's so fun seeing you all interact at the Daily Planet. Then obviously we have the scene that's already gone viral. The movie hasn't even come out yet where you're interviewing him as Superman. What was y'all's backstory as far as your relationship starting? Was there a meet cute?
Very well documented one.
I think we can't tell you that. I think that's because for all we know, it might get explored in a future film. But we did have
Been saying
Interesting.
it.
Interesting.
well, not in specifics.
Not too specific.
Yeah. But so the cool thing is like getting to start in the middle of the relationship. We did get to discuss that with James and talk about possibilities. And I don't think
What
James
is
had really
that in
settled
the
on the
background?
specifics
That's Green
before
Lantern
we came
and
in. So we got to talk about it and
something
kind of
going
explore
on
it
back
together, the
there.
three
It
of
didn't
us.
settle with me.
Because I'm watching Lois and I'm like, did she fall in love with Superman first
Yeah.
or Clark first?
See, I can't wait to see that come out on screen. So if you've been talking about it and ruining it, my gosh.
Sorry. Well, James had thoughts about it. I think I was like, it's got to be more specific for me.
Yeah. It's important when you're
I like
skipping it
their
in the movie
chemistry,
to know,
man. They
you know,
look
what
so good.
happened in your mind.
Yeah.
Maybe we have different ideas of what happened.
I would love for us to. We probably do have very different ideas.
It'd be a fun newlywed game to have you show. Right, yeah. See how different it is.
Bring out the whiteboards.
It was so great watching you all have that interview scene because I felt like in the midst of this massive, wonderful comic book superhero movie, I got to see a stage play. And I'm curious about like the rehearsing of that. Was there a lot of rehearsals for that, or was it pretty much, we want this to feel raw and sort of unscripted? We want to make it feel authentic. How did y'all pull that off as actors?
That's a great question. I don't remember. We definitely talked quite a bit about the scene, but I feel like we didn't rehearse it until that first day of shooting, right? We
Well,
blocked
we had
Wow.
auditioned with that scene.
Right, but the scene that we auditioned with was, although on the page it was the same scene, the setup of the room was completely simplified for the screen test, and the complexity of the geography of Lois's apartment in the film is part of what keeps the scene interesting as we're moving around it. But I think we had 2 days to shoot that scene, and I think as is usual, you start with a blocking rehearsal where you kind of find the scene. It was probably a longer
Right.
blocking rehearsal than
Because you always
normal
want
because
your
it's 10
actors
pages.
to like move.
But we've been talking about it like
and
a
not
stage
just
play.
kinda
That's kind of what it felt
and
like.
be
The first 2 days shooting in
static.
Atlanta, we
Sometimes
shot
that's
that
okay.
scene.
But
And it
to
laid
make the scene
this
more interesting, you want to
really
kind
sturdy
of block out
foundation
your
underneath
scene
this
and move
relationship,
your
underneath
actors
these two
around the
characters
set.
that we got to carry with us. We got to try so much stuff. And there was something really wonderful about how intimate it felt in a movie of this scale. We all came in with these ideas
Well,
of what it
James is
would feel like
really
to be
good
in a
at that. He's
giant
really great at doing
action
that with his
movie,
actors.
superhero blockbuster. And suddenly it felt like we were doing a play. And that was pretty special. Fun.
David, can you tell me what was your favorite part about your fight with Ultraman?
The baseball field was amazing. That was like intense because we were outside in the elements. It's hot in those suits. We had Eddie Gathegi and Gabby as well, so it was all of these different fights going on at the same time. It's so cool to get to have a fight in the movie. It spans so many different locations. We've seen a little bit on the baseball field, but it's a big fight and it's got many phases. So that was some of the fun of it, was getting to keep working through it and try to build the stakes of it and play the exhaustion of Superman, who sort of has met his match in this foe and is really put on the back foot. And that was just a really cool place to shoot a bit of a fight and a bit of a scene as well.
This movie's gonna sound amazing too. I cannot wait. So many people are so mad that
I'm on the fence about this, so I need to ask y'all. We're just going to go down the line. Anthony, I want to start with you. Justice Gang.
He'll
cool name
get stronger
or
as
no?
the universe
I think it's
goes.
a cool name. I'm open for whatever. Just happy to be included.
Okay, good. Easy, loose answer. Isabella?
How do you feel saying it?
It sounds pretty awesome to me.
Okay. Well, then it's awesome.
Nathan, I'm pretty sure I know your answer.
My character feels one way about it. I think it sounds a little unofficial. It sounds a little casual. I think it could have more weight to it. Justice Society sounds a little more integral and put together. The gang sounds a little ragtag.
And this is what I like about it, because it's not the Justice League International. It's not the JSI.
Right.
It's the ragtag upstarts who have just been thrown together under a corporate banner. I like the name.
Was there any like backstory given to y'all by James, or did y'all just show up on set and like, hey, how do you think we all kind of came together in this universe?
You got those questions? I don't know.
We didn't really cover that. We didn't really cover. Maybe knew we were under Lord Tech's umbrella.
Yeah.
We had a corporate sponsorship. How did you come to the Justice Gang?
I was scared to ask. I wasn't sure like what I was supposed to already know. And so I used to never ask.
We're trusting the process. This is
Totally behind the scenes.
we trust the filmmaker.
No fun.
We know he's not going to lead us down a path that, we wouldn't want to go willingly.
We know how Metamorpho gets
Look
it.
at Eddie's pants.
I just showed
Eddie
up.
Gathegi's
That's
pants
right.
are
And then
pretty awesome.
I had lines.
Like a practical
to say-
audition.
Yeah,
Like a practical.
that's
Man,
true.
Look at those
yeah.
pants.
I mean, metamorphosis
Pants
is
are
literally
great.
part of your name. What was your favorite shape to sort of shift into?
At the
Can I throw one in?
Yeah, please.
I have my own name for this one. I call it Tentacular.
Tentacular. Yeah,
Is
love
that what we see
Love
in
that for
the
me.
orb
I
outside
love
the window?
that name, and I also
How
love
it's all,
Nathan's delivery of the
"Woo."
name.
That's what it looks like.
Tentacular.
It's the word is
fine.
spectacular.
Yeah.
But it's also tentacular.
You
Eddie,
have to imagine that
you
whenever
have
the
so many
final
great
fight
lines
is,
in this
that they're all
movie,
gonna help
and
him, right?
it's almost like
They're
the
all gonna
lines
help
really
Superman?
help inform the audience about your character, like right off the bat. Do you still say some of those lines to yourself just to kind of pump you up? I mean, if I had that line, I would say, "I'm damn Mr. Terrific" every morning.
I do say that. I am a blank slate. I don't remember what I say in the movie. I'm going to see it for the first time at the premiere. It'll all come rushing back to me, and probably for a couple of weeks, I'll know the lines again, and then I'll move on to the next job.
It was like studying for a test where like you just have the short-term memory, and then as soon as you're done taking the test, it's out of there.
If you do plays and you're doing 8 shows a week and you're doing that for an extended period of time, those lines will stay with you for the rest of your life. But movies, it's kind of like one and done. You're with it for a small period of time, and then you're on to the next thing.
Yes.
Nathan, for you, I'm curious about your character, Guy. We'll see more of him in Lanterns, but do you know where you rank as far
Will
as
we?
the Lantern
I don't know.
hierarchy?
I'm
If
sure
you have
we
an
will.
emergency and you need, someone to come and wield one of the most powerful weapons in the universe, you want to call a Green Lantern. You say, we need a Green Lantern. And then they say, you're going to get Guy Gardner. You'd say, crap. Of all the lanterns, that's the last one you want. But at the same time, if you're one of the Guardians of Oa and you need some dirty work done, you go right to Guy. Hey, we need you to do this thing. It's a little unseemly. He's like, I'll do it. No problem.
Mainly with the help of Hawkgirl.
Exactly.
You save Superman's behind multiple times in this movie.
Behind every powerful man is a Stephen or more powerful woman.
With wings.
Is that the saying?
It's a version of that, yeah.
I don't know. I think Hawkgirl is there and she's reluctant, but I think she has a truth that she has not shown. And that's what I like. I like, she's keeping her cards close to her chest. She's sort of mystery.
She has to be so
She's a very
hot
different kind of hero.
in all of
She's
those
a very different
layers.
kind of hero, for sure. I have my theories as to why she is the way that she is, but I also don't kind of
just
want to
looks
know.
really
I kind of want
warm,
James to
doesn't
reveal
it?
it to me. But for now, I really, really love her dynamic with the Justice Gang. And I love that these two really piss each other off in this movie.
It's a beautiful working relationship that you two have, but really, I mean, watching once Anthony kind of joins the team, all four of you kicking ass on screen, it's almost like y'all feel like you could have done this job without Superman. Is that the truth, or did we need Supes a little bit in this movie?
The movie is called Superman.
Yeah.
It's called Superman, but who's doing the dirty work?
No one approach can get the job done at the end of the day. You need a group of superheroes, a team,
A gang, if you will.
gang, if you will. And thank God that we're exploring a universe that's already populated with a bunch of superheroes.
Yeah, Superman has a lot of powers. One of them isn't being everywhere at once.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
But he does have the ability to drink the ocean.
Right.
Listen to that one.
Planet.
Salty.
Yes.
Salty.
Super sodium.
We've been corporatized though, haven't we? We have.
This interview's kind of
You didn't
gone
ask
off the
that
rails
question?
a little bit.
What?
You didn't ask that
Yeah,
question.
we are corporate sponsors.
We are. No, we are. I did ask that one. I kind of assumed when we were matchy. But yeah, Superman has the freedom, if you will, to have his own little glyph. So he kind of guides us in this journey and inspires us to step out of our comfort zone. And we all do. We all have our own little moment of coming to Jesus and saving these people, you know?
No matter what you do to me, Luther, your plans won't work.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
That was a weird cut.
James, I love the way you set
I don't think
Superman
that's-
up
there was-
in
wasn't
this
supposed to
new
be that
movie
little
where
black
he's the
space
Superman
there.
that audiences have come to know and love for decades, but this Superman is not perfect,
Sorry.
and a lot of times he needs help. Why was that important to establish right off the bat?
Well, because I wanted a Superman that people could relate to. And I wanted, I think one of the things that interested me about telling a Superman movie was to take the Superman that I loved and all the iconography associated with Superman and be completely true to him, but just get to know him a little bit better. Like examine his interior life a little bit more. And I think this comes at a time in Superman's life when some things he believes about himself, he finds out aren't true. So at the heart of this is a personal story.
And watching this movie unfold right off the bat, it's a smart thing you do because there's so much information to sort of convey to the audience about what the backstory of all this is. And we get a nice little blurb. Why was that information important to convey to the audience?
We're entering this whole world and universe of superheroes. I didn't want to have to show him, landing in a rocket ship again. I mean, for the
Right.
5 people on planet Earth who don't know that Superman came from Krypton.
Might be a
I'm sure
little
there's
bit more than
someone
5.
that doesn't know that. But I can
There's
explain
probably
that
some
away
younger
with
kids.
a sentence. But also let people know
Don't
this
know.
is a world that's different than our world. This is an alternate reality where metahumans have existed for a long time, where there's magic and sorcery, and Superman has existed for a few years. So I don't have to get into all that stupid stuff, through too much exposition.
It's the minutia of it but I'm sure we're all fans of this stuff too. And we come from that world. And so when you sit down to craft a movie like this, is the first day, is it just so overwhelming? Like, how do I put all this
I
stuff
do
that I
find it
love
odd that
into
they
a
put- they
movie?
had to put the
Are you like
logo
losing
in
your
both
mind
shots.
or did you feel like you knew where you wanted to
They're
go
like,
with
obviously
this?
the
I
logo
knew
is right
exactly
there
where I wanted to go. And so,
in person.
I think that by the time I get
But
to
the,
set, most of my work
at
is
least I
done.
think it's
I've
really there.
storyboarded every frame of the
I don't know.
movie. I've
Or
gone
maybe it's
through the
composited
script again and again with people I trust giving me notes and taking them into account. Feel like by the time I get to set, I know exactly
No, it's really
what
there, I
is
think.
what I'm doing, where I'm going next, We happened to shoot the beginning of the movie, the first thing. We were in Svalbard in
Yep.
Norway, and it
I
was
remember
shooting
that.
the shot of, David lying in the snow as the camera's coming down and into him. We see the blood in his mouth and he whistles. That was the very, very first shot. We got through it pretty quickly,
Ooh,
and I was
that's
like
cool.
so stoked.
Yeah, we're ahead already.
That's right.
He has a lot of help in this movie, as I pointed out. A lot of that comes from the Justice Gang. What makes them a Justice Gang, and how do we get them to a league? Like, what's it?
I mean, we'll have to keep watching DC movies to find that one out. But they certainly aren't a league yet. They're not. We don't even think they're a gang. They're just a disparate group of people that dislike each other, working for their corporate master, Maxwell Lord.
Yeah, why was it important to establish this justice entity with these core characters first?
Because I like those characters. Because I like Hawkgirl and Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific. And so I'm like, put those guys in a movie. I love those
I
characters.
think a lot of
so
it
I
is
think it was
just
really about
kinda
just
James Gunn doing whatever he
taking
wants to
characters that
do.
we haven't
And he
normally
can.
seen on film and putting them in movies.
As a fan of both pop and punk music, what is it about the Crabjoys? Can you describe to me the Crabjoys and why they're the perfect band to illustrate Clark's music fandom?
Well, the Mighty Crabjoys, are a fictional band that perform music that is like, the really sort of sellout pop punk bands of the very, late 90s, early 2000s, things that I would have scoffed at, frankly.
You're more of a Lois kind of guy.
Yeah, but I'm very much more like Lois. I would have been like, we're not talking about Sex Pistols or Clash here. We're talking about, I don't want to put any bands down because
Right.
honestly, some of those bands I've come to appreciate. I'm much less, judgmental of music than I used to be. I've come to really love all types of music, and there's bad bands out there, but there's also a lot of great bands that play with, in genres that maybe people don't always respect as much.
And it's fun to attach something that we associate here with Earth that's like ours with some being like a Superman.
That's right.
Who himself is a metahuman. Can you describe to me like what a metahuman is in your universe?
First of all, I don't think anyone completely agrees on what the term means. Basically, it's superhumans. I would not think of Batman as a metahuman, but you know what? Like Mr. Terrific and Lex Luthor are so smart. There might be a genetic anomaly happening with those guys. Lex couldn't possibly be a metahuman. Mr. Terrific, because he works with all these other things, you could possibly think that he's a metahuman. I think it really is dependent on who the person is and what they. It actually becomes important as we go further in our story in Peacemaker and other places what a metahuman is exactly.
Superman.
I'm telling you, man, this movie looks like everything I want it to be.
Powerful being on planet Earth. Who raised you as a child? I'll kill them too.
It's a thrill to get to talk to y'all. So I'm so curious as to how much of the backstory of The Day We Planet that James gave you, or did you make that up in your head, specifically in terms of Superman and how you broke the news that there was this being Superman now on Earth?
He gave us great direction on, how we were going to approach it. And then we also did our own deep dives. And what happens with that is you find out some curious things in the whole canon of the Superman world that for me, I did not know. And then I used it. It was kind of, so part of why I'm always grumpy, which is Lex Luthor had an affair with my wife.
Oh, wow.
And my second son may be his. And so I thought that was the most unique thing I'd ever heard about in the Superman world. So that is my driving force in this whole movie. I want to get to Lex Luthor because that's the guy who slept with my wife.
We need to get him on Maury. Wow, that's incredible.
Some
Michaela, for
interesting
you, how did
tidbits
you
there.
approach playing this character and their relationship?
Now when I see the
to
movie,
Clark
I'm
Kent
going to know that.
in the
This is
newsroom.
cool to watch interviews.
I went
to
back
kinda
and
get
looked at all the
little tidbits
comics
like this.
and where Kat originated from and what she was about. She came from Hollywood and, had a husband and a son and was just over all of it. And I think that Clark, for her, in the comic, he's everything that she's ever wanted. He's pure, good. He's a little unsure of himself, which I think she loves because she's been around these narcissistic men. Her and Lois are in the comics, like kind of go head to head. But in the movie, you don't see much of that. So hopefully there's more to come.
Yeah, Clark's so wholesome and good. And Beck, it's got to be fun to bully Clark Kent in the news just a little bit, right?
It's the best. It's always so fun to play a filterless character who just says whatever he wants, especially when they're like things you're not supposed to say,
Yeah, where does that come from for you? Like, how did you approach playing that character beyond just like, I'm just going to give this guy some guff day in and day out?
There's so many different iterations of Steve. He started out as like a football player, and the first time we see him in the comics, he's like going to the Super Bowl after spending a night with a couple women and saves a baby falling out of a window, breaks his knees. Like it's a crazy story. I mean, for me, he was great athlete in high school, went to college to try to play, didn't make the team. And he's just he's got this like chip on his shoulder. He's like, he sees himself as an athlete. He sees himself as the cool guy, but he's not really. So when he sees, this sort of dorky guy getting all, front page news and being celebrated, he's like, you suck, dude. You got nothing. Like, you're lame. Like, that's where it comes from. He's really like, he feels overlooked. And so that's kind of the backstory that fed into just like letting it rip with Clark.
Yeah, and Skylar, it's so fun watching your Jim because he's really crafty. He's a good reporter. Who's the better reporter in the newsroom between you and Lois?
Lois, no question.
Okay.
Rachel, she did the coming into production. She had spent months with real reporters and learning the tricks of the trade and had immersed herself in that world. And so she was kind of like the person on the group project who does 99% of the work. So from day one, I was like, great, I'm following your lead. You can tell me what to do. And that kind of is our dynamic in the movie. So it all worked out.
And Wendell, for you, I love seeing your version of Perry. Was there an inspiration beyond just the different iterations of Perry that we've seen before for you playing that character?
Since I was a part of this fraternity of a group of very disparate men and actors who have done it, I wanted something that connected us all, and that was the cigar. That's the first image you see in the comic, one image that you have, and think of Perry in this movie, that you would see that cigar. And it shows you the times. He's not smoking it because you can't smoke in the building. But you show his rebellious nature by, well, I can't smoke it, but I'm going to always have it.
What did you feel like Perry's biggest concerns were in reporting the news as it relates to Superman specifically?
That we wouldn't have any impact, that some sort of, some content creator would get a scoop on us, or that some other platform, and how can the newspaper still be of great importance and all. And my suspicions about this new guy that I brought on, Clark Kent, are driving me. I think I'm suspicious about who he is and the connection there. So it actually has added some fuel to the fire and keeping the paper alive.
So for the month this movie takes
really
place,
cool.
Who's Employee of the Month? Is it somebody I'm looking at, or is it somebody not currently in this room?
Not currently in this room. It's Lois. Lois she's our
Lois is the
girl.
one.
Yeah, man. She's the one. She's the one.
We finally meet. Now, as planned, I'll
Nicholas
destroy
Holt
you.
is gonna
I'm
kill
so
it, bro.
curious to talk to you about your powers in this movie because, fingers are cool, blades are better. So, what was it like on set having that? How did that work on set?
They had real blades with the actual size that mine were going to be, so I could rehearse, because if I
Not
had to
real.
load
They
up
weren't
and then do
real.
this, I would, decapitate myself. So I needed to rehearse with that so it looked okay and it was safe for engineer to do all of the things. That was really, really cool. But more than that, the blades and all of that was real imagination. But with James, we came up with this kind of language where, how does it feel to transform your body in different things? So is it tickling? Does it feel like bees? Is it painful sometimes? So yes, when she connects to the computer, for example, it is kind of like an intimate relationship with the machine. She is part machine. So it's kind of like a sexual encounter that she's having. It was really funny on set because the way Nicholas was reacting to it was like, oh, that was good. Great.
We were like,
So it's really interesting. For me, it was important to bring it back to my body to make it real for me. So hopefully it could be real for the audience.
That's intense, man. Just because watching it, you're running through every emotion. It feels like in that sequence. So where it goes from oh, this is enjoyable, I'm gathering information, to I can't handle what's happening.
It's a lot because it's alien technology and it's something that she's never encountered before. So it's interesting, it's exciting, but it's also scary and dangerous. But that's right up engineer's alley.
Sarah, for you, Eve is so sweet. I like Eve so much.
is, right?
And people are going to be asking this question, all the nice guys out there, well, I'm here. How does she fall for a guy like Lex Luthor?
He looks like Nicholas Holt first.
That helps.
And then he's obviously a very powerful, rich man. And I don't think Eve comes from money. And I think she likes the lifestyle that he provides for her, and also the stability, feeling safe, because he has all the money to keep her safe until he doesn't. That's when she, bye.
That's the problem with dating supervillains. Until it doesn't.
Until it does.
Not a great Instagram boyfriend. You're taking most of those selfies
By myself.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
But hey, it takes me to all these beautiful places. My gram is popping, you know.
Who's popping?
Was there like a meet cute like backstory that y'all had that you and Nick came up with, or that James conveyed to you as far as like how y'all actually like got together?
It wasn't really necessary. I created for whatever to give me my intentions with the character. We don't really get to explore much of our relationship in the movie.
Was it a dating app? He's probably in a dating app. That'd be a twist.
He could have been on the one of the higher end ones, right?
Yeah, we probably met at some party, and he won me. I was to guess.
That's fair. Yeah, he's in the background of one of your selfies.
Probably been like, who's
I'll tag him. Angela, for you, what's it like fighting with Superman? Like what are you going to take from that battle? Decades from now, you look back. What are you going to say?
It was dreamy. No, I'm not only fighting Superman, I'm beating his ass.
You're kicking some ass in here.
Really. And I feel like that's the thing that I love the most about my character, that it truly is a formidable foe for Superman because
Man, it's
he's
pretty
so
cool. You
powerful.
could
He's
say,
the
like,
most
I fought
powerful
Superman
man on the planet.
on
But then
film.
Angela
That's
is
really
also
cool.
pretty indestructible, and she can become anything she wants. So it was a really interesting match with Superman and David. We had this really crazy and challenging stunt that we were sliding and then we had like turn over me. And it was very difficult, and we rehearsed for months. And when we were on set, it was raining. And I remember asking David, like, hey, David, what do you need from me to make this happen? And he's like, just let it wash over you. It'll happen. Trust me. He's not normal. He is Superman. So yeah, no, it was the best. I'm gonna take with me that it was one of the most fun experiences of my life.
Y'all both serve such an important purpose in this movie because like you're one of the badass villains who's taken it to Superman. And for you, Eve is one of the primary sources of comic relief. So how did you feel on set, like how far to take it? Because there's so much serious stuff going on in this film. How are you able to make the comedy like hit so note perfect like you did?
Well, it started with a brilliant script from James. You know, he's the best at what he does, and the script already had everything there. I didn't have to do much, but on set then, James just gives you so much freedom, and he's just always with his microphone and be like, he thinks of a joke and be like, now say this. And then you say, and then you can hear him laugh. And it's just like that collaborative. You kind of do a few takes just as a page, and then he just makes you try different things. And, you know, one of the scenes, like we just really kept going for like 10 minutes, and it's just fun. And you just
It's really the mark of a like
it gives
really
you that kind of
good director
freedom,
who knows how to work with
but because
actors,
he
is
gives
to
you
give
such
them
good
the freedom
bones from
to,
the
like,
script,
play and
it
stuff on
just makes
film. I
your
think it's
life
really
easy.
important for
And lastly, just for both
really
y'all real
great
quick,
directors.
what do you love most about this version of
You hear that a lot
Superman?
when people talk
That
about
it has a
the
lot
great
of heart.
directors.
When I
you're
watched
able
the
to
movie
kind
at the
of
end of it, I told
improvise
James,
and play
it
around.
makes me feel hope for humanity. It makes me feel, because, you know, oh, humans are the worst. But when I watch the movie, I go, we are inherently good. And we need to tap into that. And it's there, and I can see it, and I can feel it. So when I see this movie, I'm ready to take action in my life and go out and be a better person. So, and that's not easy to do because he's also not preaching while he's, you know, when we watch the movie, and it's fun. So I think it's such a good movie.
Yeah, I think everything that she said, and also I love the fact that it just feels like a comic book put into the screen. And I just love the colors,
That's what
and
we're
I
gonna
just
get with James. We're just
love
gonna
that
get a
it's
comic
like
book on the
light, but it
screen.
has heart, it has humor without losing its foundation. And I remember when I started, I was like, this feels like I'm watching a comic
The
book,
VFX look
which
amazing
is
in
like,
this movie.
yeah, that was the thing that I like.
There it is. There it is. The end. The end of the interviews. Well, guys, what do you think? How did it go? I don't mind the shadow from the microphone. I really enjoyed that. I think it's interesting to watch behind the scenes, well, not behind the scenes, but like interviews like this, because like the Perry White angle and how Wendell Pierce decided that he was going to approach the role. You wouldn't know that watching the movie, right? You have to listen to these interviews, but now I'm going to go to the movie and I'm going to see it a certain way, right? And his little mention with the cigar, and he's like, you know, I wanted something that connected all the Perry Whites together, and it's that we have this cigar. And that's why, there some spoilers, I guess a little bit, but like, nothing major is spoiled really in these, except for maybe one thing that I did hear, but it is what it is. But I think that stuff like this really kind of, for me personally, enhances the film going experience and watching the movie, right? Because you get to learn the intentions and the vision of the filmmaker and the people that made it. I think a lot of times what I find is when I'm talking to people about film or movies, sadly, I think a lot of people just see it as some quick entertainment, right? They're like, oh, I watched that for like 2 hours and then I just move on with my life. And I guess I just kind of look at it a little differently. I'm always conscious of the fact that there are people behind these things, right? There are hundreds of people that dedicate 2, 3, maybe sometimes 4 years and longer of their life to make this thing, right? To entertain us for, 2 hours, an hour and a half, whatever it is, 3 hours if you're Christopher Nolan, which I'm not complaining. I will sit there for a 3-hour Christopher Nolan movie, but it takes a lot of guts because it's not easy to make these things. And so I think when people kind of judge it or dismiss it, I just think that there's more to it here, right? And it's just so fun to see how how the sauce is made and the ingredients and the actors behind the roles, right? The people that bring these things to life and the cinematography and the lighting and the sound design, right? When you're sitting there in the IMAX theater and the sound design kind of just takes you to that universe, is something that I really appreciate when I watch these things. So I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this with me. I hope you kind of enjoyed my insight. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button and hit the subscribe button for more content like this. Like I said, I will be seeing the movie on the 8th, and I will get my review up on the 9th for Superman. We got 4 days. We are 4 days away, and I will be uploading more Superman content. We have a couple scenes, couple clips that I'm going to react to that we'll get up in the next couple days leading up to my review. Guys, thank you so much. I hope to see you back here when Superman comes out so we can discuss how great it is. Or if I don't like it, I'll be honest with you and tell you that I don't like it. Or if it's a mixed bag. I don't know. I'll be honest. You get honest opinions here. We're also reading Project Hail Mary, and I'm going to be doing a chapter-by-chapter review of Project Hail Mary. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching this with me. Have a great 4th of July. Take care. Peace.